Broadcasting live from the Mercedes-Benz Palm Beach Okeechobee Boulevard studios, we are 640 Sports.
WMEN, Royal Palm Beach.
As a business owner, you know it's critical to surround yourself with people who have the knowledge you need. That's why you should interview a Regions business banker. In fact, you should grill them with the tough questions. For example, what process do you use to understand how money flows through my business? Will you be able to offer solutions that maximize my cash flow? Do you have good ideas about how I can expedite collections? How can you help me find that 25th hour in a day? These are all very valid questions when you're looking for somebody to help your business thrive today and down the road. We come prepared. And because no interview candidate worth their salt would miss the chance to ask a few smart questions too, that's exactly what we'll do. So get together with a Regions business banker to see how you click. Call 1-800-833-9776. That's 1-800-833-9776. Or visit regions.com/interview to get started. Regions Bank. Member FDIC.
What do you do when you need additional focus or energy to get you through the day? Until now, your choices were to drink a caffeinated beverage or drink an energy shot. But now you have a real choice. Elite Ops Energy Strips. Elite Ops Energy Strips give you 100% of the recommended daily allowance of B vitamins, plus 100 milligrams of caffeine in an easily dissolvable strip that is so portable and convenient you can carry a week's worth of energy in your pocket or purse. Just open a sleeve, put it on your tongue, and in seconds the strip dissolves, giving you the boost of energy and focus you need, all without taking a drink. And Elite Ops Energy Strips won't give you the jitters or that crash you typically associated with energy products. Want to try Elite Ops Energy Strips for free? Follow them on Facebook and visit their website, EliteOpsEnergy.com. That's EliteOpsEnergy.com. The real choice when it comes to energy and focus.
Get on the show.
Call now.
888-640-9385. It's Sid Rosenberg on 640 Sports.
A week before their season opener against the Steelers, news coming in that Judge Berman has nullified the 4-game suspension for Tom Brady involved in Deflategate handed down by the NFL.
His argument, when it was broken down, was basically said, you know, Judge, this ain't fair.
This is such an enormous blow to the quote-unquote absolute power of the commissioner.
I am surprised that the NFL lost it.
Now you're going to have guys more apt to go to court.
And as you would imagine, a feeling of vindication here with the Patriots, with this decision.
We constantly hear this argument, oh, the Players Association gave Roger Goodell this power in the CBA, so why are they fighting it now? The reason they're fighting it now is evident from this ruling. It's that he's terrible at it.
You know, Andrew Brandt coined the phrase of pay as you go as far as contracts. He's disciplining as you go, making it up as you go.
I'm just going to arbitrarily throw a 4-game suspension your way. I'm going to get you with a 2-game suspension. I'm going to get you with a 10-game suspension.
45 years ago today, Vince Lombardi died, and this is the spirit of Vince Lombardi.
Wow.
Stepping forward, all sorts of reactions.
You would have thought I had just told everybody they had won 3 pizzas at Sal's Pizzeria for the next 4 months. People were high-fiving, hugging each other.
I'm not satisfied here. I'm not satisfied with this. I'm not satisfied. Okay, the procedure was flawed. This is not the first time that it's been proved that the procedure is flawed.
The NFL charted this course, and its ship crashed. Its ship crashed.
Yeah, the NFL overturned Brady. I can't do nothing but smoke. That's bull. You might as well overturn all the homies that got weed cases in the league, too. If y'all gonna do that, keep it real.
If his situation worsened, what would a potential buyout of Goodell's contract look like?
Well, what I would say is right now we don't have any evidence that this is on the table, though obviously, as D. Smith mentioned, you have 6 lost cases when it went to the legal system, and obviously you've had a lot of credibility hits, so this could be talked about. If you look at Roger Goodell's salary compensation, the last we saw was 2013 from public filings. In the last 3 years of that, from 2011 to 2013, he earned an average of around $30 million. His contract expires March 31st of 2019, so extrapolate $30 million for 5 years, and you have a rough golden parachute of about $150 million for Roger Goodell, which sounds like a lot, but that's, of course, a drop in the bucket when you look at all the NFL revenues.
What's going on with Patriots ticket sales coming off today's news that Brady is going to play in Week 1?
Well, what you normally see on the resale market as you get closer to the game is a drop. The average prices of games have dropped about 10% in the last week. But TickIQ, which is a resale ticket market tracking company, says that today alone, the ticket prices for the home opener Patriots-Steelers have gone up about 10%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot when you consider that most people have already decided to make a decision. So asking prices go down as we get this close to the game. The fact that it's up about 9-10% suggests that there are people that are willing to charge more and pay more now that it looks like Brady's in the game.
Are you familiar with General Soleimani?
Yes. Go ahead. Give me a little. Go ahead. Tell me.
He runs the Quds forces.
Yes. Okay. Right.
Do you expect
and I
his
think the
behavior?
Kurds, by the way, have been horribly mistreated by us.
No, not the Kurds. The Quds forces, the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Quds forces, the bad guys.
Right.
Do you expect his behavior to change as a result?
I thought you said Kurds.
No. Quds.
I'm sorry. I thought you said Kurds because I think the Kurds have been very poorly treated by us here. Go ahead.
Agreed. So Soleimani runs the Quds forces. Do you expect his behavior is going to change as a result of this deal with Iran?
I think that Iran right now is in the driver's seat to do whatever they want to do. I think what's happening with Iran is, I think it's one of the, and I covered it very well. I assume you saw the news conference. I think Iran it's one of the great deals ever made for them. I think it's one of the most incompetent contracts I've ever seen. I'm not just talking about defense. I'm not talking about a contract with another country. I've never seen more of a one-sided deal, I think, in my life. Absolutely.
Well, Soleimani is to terrorism sort of what Trump is to real estate. He's many people would say he's the most dangerous man in the world, and he runs the Quds forces, which is their Navy SEALs. Do you think they're going to stop?
The gentleman that was going back and forth with Russia and meeting with Putin, I read something, and that seems to be also where he's at. He's going back and forth, meeting with other countries, et cetera, et cetera.
That's the guy. And so do you think...
Not good for us. And what it shows is a total lack of respect. I mean, that the other countries would even be entertaining him, and they're entertaining him big league. Big league.
I'm looking for the next commander-in-chief to know who Hassan Nasrallah is, and Zawahiri, and al-Julani, and al-Baghdadi. Do you know the players without a scorecard yet, Donald Trump?
No, I'll tell you honestly, I think by the time we get to office, they'll all be changed. They'll be all gone. I knew you were going to ask me things like this, and there's no reason because, number one, I will hopefully find General Douglas MacArthur in the pack. I will find whoever it is that I'll find, but they're all changing you. Those are like history questions. Do you know this one? Do you know that one?
I don't believe in gotcha questions. I'm not trying to, quiz you on who the worst guy in the world is.
The independent run would be a death wish, and we know it.
What protects you from him enforcing? I mean, it really is just honor, right?
Am I better off today than I was yesterday? The answer is yes. And so, yeah, you know what? In 6 months, if someone wanted to play that card, he was pretty emphatic. All of our candidates have been emphatic that they're not running as an independent, and running the party is my job. And I have to make sure that if someone wants to avail themselves to the party process, then they better make sure that they pledge their support for the party. So I think he did the right thing. I think all the candidates have done the right thing, and I've done what I have to do as chairman of the party.
The chairman just left, as you probably know, and he's been extremely fair. The RNC has been absolutely terrific over the last 2-month period. And as you know, that's what I've wanted. I've wanted fairness. I don't have to be treated any differently than anybody else. I just wanted fairness from the Republican Party. We're leading in every single poll. A new poll came out today where we're over 30%. We've actually hit numbers as high as 35 and 40%. And frankly, I felt that the absolute best way to win and to beat the Democrats, and very easily, I think, beat the Democrats, no matter who it may be, whether it's Hillary or anybody else. And I think maybe Hillary's going to have a very hard time, frankly, with what's happening, getting to the starting gate. The best way for the Republicans to win is if I win the nomination and go directly against whoever they happen to put up. And for that reason, I have signed the pledge.
lot going on. Tom Brady, of course, is the big story. He wins. Roger Goodell loses again. I'm in the mood. Football. It's here. There was college football last night. South Carolina beat North Carolina, and Western Kentucky played Vanderbilt and whatever. Michigan, Jim Harbaugh made his debut, and his team played tough, lost by a touchdown by 7 to Utah. And now we got a big game coming up tomorrow night in Texas with Wisconsin and Alabama, and a monster game on Monday where the national champs, Ohio State, take on Virginia Tech, their only loss during their championship season a year ago. So college football is here. The NFL is here. This is
monster game last night. Big win for FIU.
They did beat UCF.
Yes.
That's crazy. That is their biggest win since Mario Cristobal's across the nose left. Tell you that. So, yes.
That means FAU's got a chance against UM, right?
They don't play them this week. They play Tulsa.
Oh, it's
They're on the road at Tulsa Saturday, the Owls, and they return home. Their second game against is Miami next week. So no, they have no chance. No, no, they have no chance. Actually, Lindsey Graham was coming on at 9, has a better chance of winning the presidency. Thank you. So you got all the football, the Tom Brady stuff, obviously. Baseball, the Yanks are back at it. A 6-game homestand starting tonight in the Bronx against Tampa Bay. Then Baltimore comes to town. Metropolitans, now a 6-game lead over Washington. They start a 3-game set tonight here in Miami against the Marlins. It'll be DeGrom, Cologne, and the return of Steven Matz on Sunday before the Mets have a big series at the second-placed Washington Nationals starting Monday. So that's the sports stuff. You heard Donald Trump there with Hugh Hewitt. Hugh Hewitt's an asshole. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel that way.
He was a dick to both Carly Fiorina and Donald Trump yesterday. He was on Meet the Press a couple of weeks ago, so I can't wait for Chuck Todd to come on this morning in about a half hour. Chuck will be on 8:45, my dear friend, the moderator of Meet the Press, and we'll talk about what an asshole Hugh Hewitt is, basically. So Trump was there. Then you heard Priebus. Donald Trump yesterday signed the loyalty pledge, which means nothing. It's not legally binding. You know that. 6 months from now, Donald Trump can wake up and decide he's not doing well in the Republican race. They're not nice to me. I'm going to be an independent. So he did sign it, but that doesn't mean, as was pointed out last night with Priebus and Greta Van Susteren, that it's a legal bind. He can still do whatever the hell he wants. But they're taking Trump at his word right now, which is stupid.
I know. It's like, what?
What?
When I saw that yesterday, I was like, I guess it makes him look good, but we all know he could just walk away from it, so what's the point?
Yeah. But he's still our guy, so don't talk bad about Donald.
No, he still is. That's why I don't like Hugh Hewitt, and I like Carly. So
that's right, me too. So anyway, Tony Maserati, Tony Maz, he's got the most popular sports show in Boston alongside Felger Afternoon, CBS Radio in Boston. He is set to join us momentarily, how they're actually celebrating in the streets that Brady's going to play against the Steelers on Thursday night. He'll join us. 8:45, Chuck Todd, Meet the Press. 9:05, Lindsey Graham, GOP candidate. Hopefully later in the 9 o'clock hour from ESPN sports reporters Bob Bryan. And also don't forget, before 10 o'clock, our friend Chelsea Taylor, our sister station, 103.1 FM WIRK, the country music station. For the second time this week, we'll give away a pair of Lady Antebellum. Along with them, you'll have Hunter Hayes and Sam Hunt Sunday night at the Perfect Vodka Theater, giving away a pair of tickets for Lady Antebellum coming up on Sunday. So a lot to do. Stay right here. 888-640-9385. We go to Boston. Tony Maz is standing by, celebrating on the streets of Boston. Tom Brady will play on Thursday. We talk to Tony Maz next.
More Sid Rosenberg on 640 Sports.
Boston at 8:24 on your Friday morning. Like I said, been a great show already. Rick Macy from the very popular Rick Macy Tennis Academy down here, where my daughter plays, actually, talking about Serena's journey here to catch up to Steffi Graf, winning all 4 majors in the same year. And then we had Mark Feinsand on, Yankees getting ready for the Rays and the Orioles. And then Kimberly Jones, my buddy, at the NFL Network, breaking down the Jets, the Giants, and Tim Tebow. Again, don't forget, coming up in about 20 minutes, the moderator of Meet the Press here for his weekly visit, Chuck Todd. And in about 40 minutes, GOP presidential candidate making his second visit to the program, Lindsey Graham. But the world is in Boston today because Tom Brady wins, which I happen to like, and Roger Goodell loses, which I think I like even more. So with that said, the best sports radio show in Boston is Felger and Maz. It's just the way it is. It's because I said so. This guy Tangay's a jerk. And I think, what's his name? They call him the Big O. It's not Orlando down here, that moron. It's Glenn Ordway. You know, he's back at WEEI. Oh! But Felger and Maz are the best, and it's not because of Felger, it's because of Maz. So with that said, here he is, my friend, live in Boston, Tony Maz.
Yeah, Sid, you're far too kind, my friend.
Well, you have to admit this. When the Super Bowl comes along, and this year it's going to be great, celebrating 50 years of the Super Bowl in my favorite city, San Francisco. Admit this, when the Radio Row gets going, that the only 2 guys you and Mike actually care about bringing on your radio show from different markets are me and Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Is that true?
That's pretty much true, Sid. You got that right. For the most part, I'd say that's accurate.
Now, one more thing on that, and I feel bad because I hate to watch on my bet here, but did I not make some type of prediction on your show a couple of years ago on the air where I promised a sexual favor, maybe even a hand job, even a blow job, I don't know, to somebody on your staff, and I actually lost a bet? Is that true?
I believe that is true, and I think it was supposed to be me. But I'm respectfully going to decline on that, Sid, all right? I'm going to pass.
I think I said, oh, I know what it was. You're right. I said that there's no way that John Elway, Peyton Manning, was going to lose to Seattle. And if that's the case, Maz, I'll do something to you. So, but you don't want the payback, huh? You don't want it?
No, I'm gonna give you a freebie on this one. We'll see if I can cash in double later. We'll see.
Well, listen, I owe you 2 now because that's the bet I lost with you on the air, and then it was funny. I'm walking around one of the casinos in Las Vegas for the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight with Danielle, my beautiful wife. And we will buy the Titanic thing there for my son. He loves Titanic. And in walks Tony Maz with his buddy. You had just left the sports book, and you were betting on futures for the NFL and the Kentucky Derby. And I think you lost the Derby because I didn't get your Hank Goldberg's picks on time. Isn't that right?
That is correct, Sid. Yes, you screwed me over on the Derby, too. That's exactly right. But I did get my futures bets on the NFL. We'll see how those pan out.
So why do you keep coming on the show and saying such nice things about you? Seemingly I screw you every single time.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I don't take this stuff personally. You work in this business, you got to have thick skin, as you know.
You're right about that. Oh, well, give me this. Give me a sense. The reason why you're on is, A, you're great, but B, you're in Boston. So I like to go to the scene of the crime, if you will. Pittsburgh Steelers, your Pats open up the season on Thursday night. Your club was a 3.5-point favorite when Brady was suspended. You're now a 7-point favorite over the Steelers on Thursday. Are they literally dancing in the streets by Faneuil Hall, by Quincy Mart? Are they dancing in the streets?
Yeah, Sid, people up here are ecstatic. They want to kill me and my partner, maybe me in particular, because I thought that Brady was going to have a hard time winning this appeal. I was arguing early on that if I was Brady, push for a deal. Take 1 or 2 games, serve him early in September, and then that way there's no risk of you missing more games potentially later in the year from all the things we were hearing early on in the process. But he pushed this thing to the wall. He got 0. He rolled the dice, and he won. And look, I say rolled the dice. Maybe it was maybe his odds were better than people like me were willing to give him credit for. I mean, certainly based on the outcome, they were. So Patriots fans are ecstatic. And look, you know how this goes. Many of them are interpreting this as a vindication for Brady, and more specifically, some sort of announcement that he's completely innocent. And I don't know that that's what yesterday was all about. I think it had more to do with procedure than anything else. But look, the Patriots have been hit hard in this thing. Brady kind of got a dumped on his lap by Belichick back in January. And so now the Patriots are going to have their quarterback, it looks like, for the whole season. I can't imagine the appeal is going to get heard before that.
You're exactly right. It was about procedure, Tony. In fact, Judge Berman, at no point did he ever even talk about the deflated footballs. What he talked about was Roger Goodell. How the hell did he even impose that type of sentence? Look, I'll tell you what I feel. I feel like Brady did cheat. In fact, I'm sure Brady cheated, just like I'm sure Spygate was cheating. Me personally, I don't consider either one of those big deals. I don't think the Pats are great because of that. They're great because of Bill and Tom. And I thought a 4-game suspension was ridiculous from the beginning. I was actually angry about it. So here's where I am. I know Brady cheated. I don't care. He should be playing week 1. I'm happy he is.
Yeah, again, look, the suspension, the 4-game suspension was ridiculous, Sid. I think everybody said that from the beginning, and that's what Berman seized on. You have no history of suspending anybody for this type of violation. All of a sudden you're going to 4 games, comparing it to steroid use, which seemed like an extreme. Now, look, a game, maybe even 2, we can argue that. And as it turned out, Brady gets 0.
And by the way, let me stop you for a second. If, in fact, at the very beginning, if initially, Tony, I think you'd agree, Goodell didn't let the size of his penis get in the way and said, hey, I'll suspend him for 1 game, that may have worked, right?
Well, and look, that is something my partner has been arguing too. That the NFL overreached on this thing from the beginning. They left themselves open, and they had plenty of time to cut deals. They had time to cut deals before the appeal hearing. Even after the appeal, Goodell could have reduced the penalty, but they held firm at 4 games. They picked a huge battle. Obviously, Brady took it to court, and he won it. And listen, once this thing reached a certain point, Sid, I just felt like the thing that was of greatest concern to me is the number of games the quarterback's going to miss. So I thought, I just thought it would have been better to cut the deal, take the 1 or 2, because again, like you, I think they did it. So I thought the better thing to do would be to minimize the damage. They came out of it with 0. So that's a good thing for the Patriots and anyone who wants to support the Patriots.
Now, you seem to be more, you're more level-headed, Tony. That's why I like you. I mean, you're actually a smart, nice kid. You're not stupid. Some of these guys no, I'm serious, they get so stupid, like this Tangay guy. I know him up in Boston who actually encouraged somebody to murder Roger Goodell. How do you remove Roger Goodell from office? You murder him. I know he's getting into big trouble up there in Boston, and other guys have said those types of things, but excluding you, was that basically the way Bostonians felt? Were they that angry with Roger Goodell?
Yeah, I don't know if he meant that literally. I think that some of that got misinterpreted. But in any case, yeah, people are livid. And look, Sid, we can say definitively the commissioner's a buffoon. The way the league has operated over the last year has been embarrassing. The part of the story that I find frustrating is that when the Ray Rice thing happened a year ago, I was saying then Goodell should go. And the uproar in Boston wasn't as great as it was in a lot of other places because it wasn't the Patriots. Then all of a sudden, the same guy came around. And in fact, at that time, Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, went on a CBS national news show and offered his support for the commissioner. Yeah. And then several months later, all of a sudden, the Patriots were in Goodell's crosshairs, and now everyone in Boston is realizing that the commissioner is an idiot. So, or that the commissioner is incompetent is probably a better way to say it. So, to me, that's the part of the story I find frustrating, is that when someone else is being accused, nobody up here seemed to be kicking up much of a storm. Once it turned to the Patriots, they all recognized that the commissioner was utterly inept. But that said, I got to believe that if Goodell survives this, he will survive anything.
Agreed.
What has happened in the last year, Sid, has been unbelievable. Yeah. And this guy still has a job.
Well, who knows how much longer. Darren Rovell was talking about a buyout just last night. There were some columnists in your town, that I brought on my show that wrote stories that did take the Patriots and Brady and Kraft to task. Dan Shaughnessy was very critical of that organization, and specifically Tom Brady. Even Bob Ryan was a bit critical. Are those guys today kind of savoring this decision or saying things like, well, we kind of got away with one here?
Well, I haven't gotten everybody yet. I know that Shaughnessy believes that the Patriots should push this to the wall now. And by that, I mean, that they should maybe go and try to reclaim the draft picks and the fine money that they lost in this thing. I don't know that that's really an option without the Patriots alienating the other 31 ownership groups in the league. So I don't know that they'll go that route. I doubt that they will. But again, I draw a distinction between the legal process and the actual event. As much as people would say to the NFL, move on, don't dig in on this, don't appeal, take your beating, and that's the end of it, which obviously the league is not doing. I would sort of advise the Patriots to do the same thing. That, if you believe that the Patriots did something wrong here, and again, many of us do, then you know what? I don't know what makes sense to keep this thing alive and keep pushing and keep pushing. Let it die. Let it be what it is, which is a first, a fourth rounder, and $1 million for the team. Brady gets off. Goodell takes a beating, and we all move on. And to me, I think people are tired of the story, and I don't know that we're going to get much more if either side keeps pushing.
I agree with you 1,000%. The Pats, you win now. Now you just distance yourself from the whole thing and get ready for the start of the season. 2 more will let you run. Tony Maz does a terrific job, really does. Maz and Felger up there in Boston. Felger and Maz, whatever it is. Who knows? You're the star of the show. We all know that, Tony.
No, it's Felger and Maz, but that's all right, Sid. I appreciate that.
I know it is. Hey, tell me this in terms of the football team. I heard some comments out of Gronkowski and a few others. Here they are, the Super Bowl champions. They've been to more Super Bowls the last couple of decades than anybody, and yet they sounded like the underdog here. Like, oh, look out for us now because now we got our quarterback back. So as if the Pats need a chip on their shoulder, it seems like they are carrying one, yes?
Well, Sid, that's the thing, right, is that normally the team coming off a Super Bowl win, you might say has lost a little bit of edge, might be a little bit of a fat cat coming into the season. There's no Super Bowl hangover with this team, none, zero, because all that's been talked about all summer long is their transgressions about Brady, the case, all of it, and it's all been very critical. So it's almost as if the Super Bowl never happened in a lot of ways. Right. Yeah, now, Sid, look, their secondary stinks. I think they let go Revis, they let go Browner, they let go Kyle Arrington. They wiped out all 3 cornerbacks. Their left and the right in their slot corner. Their safeties returned, but Devin McCourty's a good player, but Patrick Chung is limited, particularly without Revis in the secondary. So their ability to stop the pass is a huge, huge question. It feels like they've gone back to being the kind of team that's going to try to outscore everybody, but we all know that the AFC is flawed. This year now with Jordy Nelson going down, Seattle's got issues. The whole league looks a little flawed. I wouldn't count them out.
Well, I will ask you this, though. You're right. They're not as good as they were last year, specifically defensively in that secondary. And the teams inside your division got better. We know Buffalo has an issue with quarterback, but Rex Ryan is there. They got a great defense. Jets also issues at quarterback, but a great defense. And I got to tell you, I'm here in Miami. I'm not a Dolphin fan. I'm a Giant fan, as you know, Tony. But these guys look good. Sue's made the defense a lot better. Tannehill, year number 4. He's got weapons now. Do you guys feel up in Boston that maybe the rest of these teams are catching up, have caught up? What's the sense before the start of the year?
Yeah, there are some people that believe that, Sid, but with the possible exception of Miami, and I know Tannehill had a good year last year, the other 2 teams still don't have quarterbacks. And it's just it's hard to win in the league, period, let alone against the Patriots without a quarterback. So certainly, look, teams have done it in the past by mitigating Brady, and this team, again, is offensive heavy. They went out and added Scott Chandler on top of it with Gronkowski, so they have 2 huge targets in the red zone. Brady is going to have guys to throw to, so they should be able to score at least enough. The division is not – if their flaws on defense, Sid, are going to come back and bite them in the ass, I don't think it's going to be in the division. I give Miami a fighter's chance. There's no question about it, particularly if Tannehill continues to develop. But if he stays at a pretty good level versus very good, I just don't know that they're going to be able to – I don't know that Miami's going to win enough games overall to beat the Patriots in the division.
Once again, not a good job, a great job. Tony, anything happens in Boston, we go to you because you're terrific. So thank you very, very much. Enjoy the game next Thursday, and we'll talk again soon, buddy. Thank you.
Hey, Sid, anytime. Best to you and your family.
You too. Great job. I love that guy, Tony Maz. Felger and Maz, each and every afternoon up in Boston. The best sports talk show they've got in that great, great American city of ours, Boston, Massachusetts. That's my guy, Tony Maz.
It's Sid Rosenberg, online, on your mobile device, on your radio, right now. 640 Sports.
Love that song. God, I love that song. My buddy Rob Evans live in studio right now taking some video. I can't tell you what the video is for, but it's important. Let's put it that way. Could be another major move on the Sid Rosenberg career train. Anyway, we put this time aside each and every Friday. That music, of course, means it must be Sunday, and it must be 9 a.m. locally, and it must be NBC, because it's Meet the Press. Here's my dear friend, the moderator, the great Chuck Todd. Good morning, Chuck. How are you, pal?
Good morning, Sid. I was just reading. There's a lot of shakeup going on in South Florida radio, man.
Really? I haven't Barry Jackson talking about Dan Le Batard moving us. I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. You tell me. I'm just trying to figure. It seems like everybody's all over the map, huh?
Listen, I don't know, and I don't mean to sound like you would here, like an arrogant jerk, but yeah, but I have to be honest, because we do so much with politics and news, because this show is so much more than a sports show. Those other shows don't exist. I don't listen to them. I don't consider myself one of them. We are one of 4 sports stations down here, Chuck, and my show is so not a sports show that you can tell me that every other station changed every single show, I would not be aware of it.
I believe you. I mean, I know that feeling. I get that way with my own show. You know, people say, "Oh, did you see that?" I'm like, I don't know. I didn't. I was working on my show. I didn't watch that show.
Exactly.
I know exactly what you mean, and it's not arrogant. It's just reality.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in my neighbor's house. I'm right next door to them, but I'm not in their house.
Yeah. Well, I know exactly what's going on in my neighbor's house, by the way.
You're stealing their Wi-Fi. You got cameras up. Stuff, right?
Right, exactly. That's America for you. So I kind of joked around about Hugh Hewitt. I didn't know who that guy was, I swear to God, Chuck, a month ago until I saw him on your show. And now he's everywhere. And yesterday, he put Donald Trump on the spot. He made my guy Donald look pretty bad, actually. And even Fiorina looked bad on his show as well. What was he trying to do yesterday? What was that all about?
Look, I think this is among the frustrations you have with some conservative intellectuals who feel as if Donald Trump's not a real conservative, that Donald Trump is a populist, and there's a difference between ideological conservatism and sort of this populism, power to the people message that I think Trump is carrying and resonating with. And look, it wasn't a great moment. You know, Trump didn't have great moments with me during his interview when I asked him about some foreign policy. When I just simply asked him, where does he get his advice? And he says he watches the shows. Look, had Scott Walker said that, done, right? Had Marco Rubio said that, done. Had this happened, by the way, had this issue with both Fiorina and Trump struggled, had Kasich or Bush or any of the more conventional candidates struggled with that, we'd be writing them off. Yeah. They'd be toast. But I think the supporters of these outsider candidates, you know, they're not interested in the pop quiz. I think they're interested in more of tone, leadership style, and you know, look at how Trump handles look at how Trump is handling this already this morning versus how Walker, I think, struggled with the Canada Wall business from my show all week, where he was explaining, and instead Trump is just he's just plowing right past it and doing 7 more interviews. Which, by the way, other candidates in crisis ought to learn to take a lesson from Trump on how to handle stuff like this.
Agreed. And you're right. We don't care about the content. We don't care what they're saying. Just keep talking. And look, you talk about conservatives. I distinctly remember the day of the debate, an hour before the debate, I was watching Fox, and Cavuto had John Sununu on, your old friend John Sununu. And he said, listen, he said, I can't root for Trump. I just can't. Until I know for a fact he's a Republican and is not going to go independent on me. And then Cavuto said, well, if he does that, will you be okay with Donald? He said, yes. So yesterday, he takes this loyalty pledge, which we know is not legally binding. He could decide in 6 months, I've had enough of this. But at least for now, he's made the John Sununus of the world very happy, yes?
Well, he has. Think about this, man. He made Reince Priebus fly to New York to get his signature.
I know.
The other 16 candidates, by the way, apparently the fax machine was good enough. You know? I mean, does that not tell you? Look, the Republican Party was petrified that Trump might do this. The irony is, if you've watched or heard Trump's language over the last 6 months, he had been making the case against running as an independent. He'd been making a business case, talking about even if he got on all the ballots, and even if he won 34% of the vote, he'd never get the presidency. You know, it would be split in the electoral. He's been very logical. The guy is a shrewd businessman, and he knows it costs more to run as an independent than as a Republican. So, you know, he's been setting this up for some time. I think the Republican Party leadership here was almost overreacting to this, hoping against hope that somehow this would turn Republicans off of him, right? And it never did. So instead now, look what they've done. They've gotten Jeb Bush to pledge to support Donald Trump.
Amazing.
I mean, think about that.
I mean, that's amazing.
What we've had. Forget the loyalty pledge. Jeb Bush has vowed that if Donald Trump is a Republican nominee, he will support him.
Amazing.
That's what happened. That's pretty stunning.
That is shocking. Chuck Todd here for about another 5 minutes. So the Iran deal looks like it's going to go through. And as an American first and a Jew second, well, you saw my tweets a couple of days ago. I'm furious. I really despise this president. I know you're not supposed to say that in America, but I really do. And Kerry and the rest of these folks. And I had John Schanzer on yesterday, formerly of the Treasury Department with the FDD. I had Dubo on a couple of weeks ago. And I swear to you, Chuck, we've had 30, 40-minute conversations about the sunset clauses, every deal, every part of this deal. I got to tell you, I just can't figure out for the life of me what is good about this deal, giving our enemies who want us dead $150 billion as if they're going to comply anyway. It doesn't stop them from building a bomb. At best, it delays them. Why would anybody like this deal, let alone let this deal pass?
I think this is where you get this strong. There's two philosophical divides, and we've talked about it before. The biggest divide here is Obama and Kerry and Clinton, sort of the Democratic wing of foreign policy worldview is Iran is going to be a major power in the Middle East. You have to deal with the fact that they're a major power in the Middle East and live with it. And I think the consensus Republican foreign policy view is no, yes, we know Iran wants to be a regional power, but our job should be not to let them
stop them. Exactly right. Stop them.
That is the fundamental divide. You want to know, like, why is it that, well, the Democratic worldview in this is like, well, we have no choice. It's not as if you can stop. Iran from being a world power, a regional power. Right. So deal with them. Right. And the other, so it is, that's where this is the philosophical divide. This is and guess what? You can't, if you believe in those two different well, then you're never going to get it to a consensus.
No,
there isn't
you're
going
right.
to be,
you're right.
So that is the large difference here. And the real struggle is when you go in Iran, the Iranian people desperately want to be Western. It's this regime that doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's another divide here. The Democratic, leadership won't call for regime change. Obviously, Republicans would like to see regime change. But guess what? I think the Iranian people, if they felt they could say it, want regime change.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But of course we're this is again, I think it becomes the philosophical divide between the two parties.
We used to lead, man. That's all I can tell you. We didn't care what Iran did. I mean, when people say to me, "Well, we're not alone. France did this," and I don't care what France does or Russia or China. They've all got business interests there. They've all got business interests in Iran. They don't. And by the way, if we take the lead and say we're not going to do it, maybe France and Germany don't do it. What do I care what they want to do?
No, look, and that's another divide here. I think Obama and Kerry and Clinton. And I think that the whole world community aspect of things. That hey, we're all just one cog in this. And I think there's definitely the Republican worldview on this, which is no. We can force Europe to come to our side, but you have to force them. You have to lead them. Don't let Europe lead you. Right. And I think that the biggest difference in this administration versus the previous one, I mean, remember Donald Rumsfeld's famous comment, "Oh, that's just old Europe," and that sort of thing. I think that there is a romanticism on the left when it comes to, oh no, we should be in bed together with the Europeans, and we should all speak as one voice. Well, at the end of the day, you're right. History has proven that if the United States goes out alone, they won't be alone for long, that the Europeans come along, but you do have to lead them.
All right. I know you got about 2 minutes to go here. I want to get to your guest list on Sunday, but we've talked about the loyalty pledge and Donald Trump and the Iran deal, all important. Is there any way, Meet the Press on Sunday, with all that and the debate now less than 2 weeks away, is there any way they can omit what's going on with cops in this country?
Is there any way? Well, actually, no. I do want to get into that. This is, I mean, it feels as if everybody feels that there is no, I don't know how to put this, but basically I think African Americans feel that they've been targeted by cops, and cops feel that they're being targeted with all this public stuff. I mean, this is a bad place to be. This is a case where it's almost like you desperately need leadership to say, whoa, 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 everybody needs to hit the pause button here. We need good cops, and we need those cops to treat all people fairly. And that seems to be, all of a sudden here, we're getting where I don't think anybody is sanctioning any of this stuff, but gosh, it does feel like we need a voice of reason here to calm everybody down and say, you know what, cops are a good thing. In Washington, D.C., the African-American mayor, Muriel Bowser, we've had an uptick in the murder rate, so guess what she did? She put more cops on the street. Right. And guess what happened? Protests against her for wanting to put more cops on the street.
Yeah.
Her job's to keep the city safe. So we're losing reason here a little bit. And I think this is where it feels like we're leadershipless. I mean, I have to say, I think the president ought to be speaking up on this in a way that defends the rule of law, defends what cops do, and acknowledges the other stuff. And lately, I think the criticism on him is that he's only been acknowledging the plight of African Americans and how they're treated by cops, not talking enough about the good things that cops do. I think it's a fair criticism.
But listen, I'll tell you right now that Ben Carson brought this up. The fact that he's doing the Iran deal makes him, to some, an anti-Semite. And you're exactly right. There's a lot of whites in this country that think he's a racist because he'll send his folks out to Michael Brown, who was a bad guy, by the way, his funeral. But when a cop is gunned down, execution style, at a gas station in Texas, he can stop there on the way to Alaska. Doesn't seem to care. So it may be unfair, but a lot of whites in this country think this president is a racist.
You know, he'd have gone a long way by showing up to that funeral. I think you're right. Just simply showing up, because then it would have just, people may have still criticized his rhetoric on the other stuff, but, showing up to that funeral or even Vice President Biden, whatever, that would have gone a long way to sort of ease some tension here a little bit.
Yep. Who's on Sunday, by the way? Can't wait.
Colin Powell.
Nice.
We haven't heard from him in a while, and you want to talk about this, a guy, obviously, I don't know where he is in the Iran deal. I think we'll find out on that. He usually likes to weigh in on race issues. I mean, I don't think he enjoys talking about the issue, but I think he's usually willing to weigh in on that. It's been a tumultuous year. I'm sure he's got some opinions in the presidential race. And, he's never not supported a guy named Bush, so I'll be curious where he is on that as well.
Me too. Okay, Lindsey Graham, by the way, coming up next. I'll tell you how that went.
Oh, fair enough. Hey, his super PAC just went up with $1 million ad buy in New Hampshire.
Is that right?
So, yeah.
Okay,
so we'll see if they're trying to jumpstart him. We'll see.
I love you. Thank you. You're great, as always.
See you, buddy.
All right, take care. Chuck Todd, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. At least locally, 9 a.m. It's 10:30 in New York. NBC, Colin Powell and a host of others. Chuck Todd will take a short break. When we get back, making his second visit to the program, GOP candidate out of South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, will join us right after this.